did not get any money, any funding from outside till 2020. And by that time, I had already made all my mistakes. I understand what is going to work and what is not going to work. And by the time the money came, there was a direct need for it, and we're able to scale. I was coming from the market. So on entering into my street, I had the grocery materials in my hand. One of the young ladies in my neighborhood saw me, and I think they were just looking at her, who is this tiny auntie that just got married? And so she came to meet me, I knew she wanted to be close to me at that time. And so she was like, oh, auntie, let me help you. I mean, those days, even though it's just like 2013, 2014, 2015, we still have people like that kind of reach out to you that they want to help you. We still have that culture, of people just saying, oh, let me assist you. So that was exactly what happened at that time. And so she came into my house. On getting into my house, on my dining table, at that time we had just started rebranding now. So she saw the product and she was like, auntie, is this what you do? I said, well, yeah, I don't want to say I'm just whiling away time. I just say, yeah, this is what I do. And she goes, oh, I work in a supermarket, and I think your product is going to be good for our shelves. In my head, I'm thinking, okay. And she went ahead to say, we have shea butter in our supermarket, but your packaging is way better, you know, than what we have in our store. And she gave a clock. Please, when you come, do not do as if you know me. Just go and ask for the manager and talk to the manager, directly. And that was basically what happened. So she gave me the address of the supermarket. I dressed up, wrote a letter of introduction for whatever reason. I don't know why I did that. Wrote a letter of introduction and everything. And I went into the supermarket, met with I first what I did was I went round to see the kind of products that they had. And I came to the woman and I told her I met the owner of the business that day. So I told her, oh, I have shea butter for sale. Um and she looked at the products, she asked for the price and I told her the price. Of course, I'd done my research to know how much you were selling the ones at the store, so so I mean mine was even more expensive because I know that mine was better in terms of packaging and the cost that we've incurred. So and the quality because we source directly from those women that produce it. So we are able to be clear on the quality of what we're bringing to the market. And so she saw it, she liked it. And of course, like the supermarkets in Nigeria, they will tell you they will put you on SOR. SOR is sales on return until they finish selling before they would pay you back. I said, oh, that's not a problem. So I dropped it on the supermarket and in 3 days, so I knew I started with a dozen. In 3 days, they had sold out on it. And I got a call that, oh, we have sold out and we need another restock. So I went back and, because it was SOR, I was determining the price that they would be selling it for. And then I went the second time, less than few days down the line, it was sold out. And then some of those that bought the jars were reaching out as well to me directly. That, oh, we saw your product here and we want it. So with that, I was super excited. And then I went back to them. I said, see, this thing is selling out. So they also increased their price. So I went back to them and told them that, wait, you're not going to increase your price. The only way you're going to increase your price is if you pay me upfront. So you pay me my money upfront, and then you can put it at any price you want. And that was how we started supplying supermarkets. So we went to that supermarket. With that, we had the confidence to go into different other supermarkets. And some people would see it, some people would recommend their supermarket, some people would. I mean, that was basically how we were able to scale. Now, at that time as well, I wasn't really paying attention to the revenue that we were getting as much as, things were coming in. I was just putting it back into the business, using it for family things until 2017. Now, 2017, I was not around for, I think, about 4 months, and my husband had to handle, the delivery to the supermarkets. And when he delivers, he picks checks. It was at that point he felt, babe, you mean you are making this? What are you using money for? I said, please do not look at my money. It is my money. you know, 2017 was when, because there was a third eye, that looked at it, or a second eye that looked at it and felt, okay, this is something that can scale. So he started encouraging me, oh, why not do this? Why not do this? And before I knew what was happening, he was seeing the revenue that was coming from there. And that was how we continued building the business. And in between those period, I think in 2016, after the business was registered, then Facebook used to be the place where people can write on walls. You know, you if you want instead of sending DM wasn't a thing at that time. You can write on people's walls and then they can see, you know, what's everybody can see what the conversation is about. So I knew there was a lady, I can't remember her full name, but I know her name was Victoria. On her Facebook wall, she wrote it to another friend that there's this scholarship by World Bank at EDC. She was telling her friend to apply. So I saw the message and I applied, and I got in 2016, ending of 2016, I got into a program sponsored by World Bank to called Women X by World Bank to study at Lagos Business School, the EDC, Enterprise Development Center. And getting into that space was a game changer for me. Understanding how to put a little bit of structure, even though we just started understanding the dynamics, of being able to standardize your production so that you're able to increase your capacity when the order comes in. So 2016, 2017, I was doing that course. And then 2017, I got pregnant again and I wasn't really able to do business. So for 2 years, I was nurturing, I was nurturing my baby. And I was also looking for the fifth year that my husband and I agreed, which was supposed to be 2019. So I told him, um, we are almost there. And as if God had bigger plans for me, by 2019, there was this application by the US government. It was the first one. It's called Women in Academy for Women Entrepreneurs. Sorry, Academy for Women Entrepreneurs. It's a global project by the United States government at that time. So I applied for it and I got in as well. Now, getting into that program was another game changer because in that program, I learned how to pitch. I learned how to write a business plan. I learned how to communicate my brand story and all of those things. And of course, I got my first grant as well from that program. I got the sum of 2,000 US dollars. And in getting that money, I was able to register for NAFDAC. I was able to enter into more spaces. I was able to um, more confidently communicate my brand and sell more. And that was the point where you can have a good idea and then you're not able to scale it. So from 2016, when we registered, to early 2019, we're just bootstrapping. Whatever money we have, we turn it over. Whatever money we have, we turn it over. And by 2019, 2020, we got that grant and then we're able to get NAFDAC. We're able to increase, our revenue. And that was it for us. And after getting the grant in 2019 earning, by that same, okay, by 2020, early 2020, we got another business grant from Swek Microfinance. That's Adosa Microfinance Bank. That as well was pushed into branding, increasing marketing, and changing some things in our branding and inventory. That in itself increased our capacity, and from there it's just from one grant to another, one opportunity to another, one network to another, and that was how we've been able to grow the brand and scale the brand.
Wow. Wow. Thanks a lot for all that you shared, because it's really interesting to see how a little incident or a little development, just a little chat with a little girl who saw you on the street, right? Felt like, you know what, auntie, can I help you? And I know that happens a lot, right? In a client,
Hmm.
can I help you with this? And then she got into your sitting room and then she saw this and she's like, you know, and then you tried that and things just kind of snowballed from there, right? I mean, it looks like coincidence, but it's an interesting coincidence, right? Don't we all need
Yeah.
coincidences like that?
So um aside from that, I also feel that there is also an angle that I think I'm not talking about, and that is the point of um being aware of what the word of God says. So at that time in my church, I remember my pastor he would always say this thing. The Bible says, whatsoever I lay your hands upon prospers. And the Bible did not specify what it is that you lay your hands upon that should prosper. It did not really specify that if you're in fashion or if you're in career or if you're in business. And so it kept saying that for I think maybe like for 4 consecutive Sundays. And sometimes I just laugh about it that it seems God just wanted it to register in my subconscious that okay, whatsoever I lay my hands upon prospers. And so I think I at the moment I got, I kept repeating and having affirmation and things that I say concerning the business at that time, and it seems things started falling in place.
I see. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for sharing that. Thanks a lot for sharing that. Now, if I step back a little bit, right? Before you started getting the grants and getting, I don't know if you have investors and all of that, right? You said you were basically bootstrapping, right? So it's all like self-funded. Is it family and friends, or just you and Uncle Odeleye just doing your thing? How did you manage to solve, as I say, the funding challenge of the whole initial setup and getting capital and all of that, especially when you needed to increase production to meet some of the demands coming from trade?
So it was just me and my husband, just bootstrapping. Basically, it was just me because it's more like it wasn't a business. You get what I mean? It wasn't. The idea was not to run a business. The idea was just stay at home, and then after 5 years you grow. So saying that it was basically just okay. I made this. I I I turn it over, I make it, I put it back into the business, I reinvest it back into the business, I reinvest it back into the business. So I did not get any money, any funding from outside till 2020. And by that time I had already made all my mistakes. I understand what is going to work and what is not going to work. And by the time the money came, there was a direct need for it and we're able to scale. Do we have investors? I mean, earlier this year, one of our customers that have been buying our products since 2016 called me and said, David, say I checked my account and I realized how much I've spent in your brand. Right now, I want to invest. and And just this week, I think it was on Monday, we had a conversation and I said, I know you said you want to invest, but I haven't gotten back to you because I also want to ensure that um I'm bringing people that understand the investment climb. I don't want to cheat you, and I also want to have all the cards on the table so that you can know what it entails. So right now we are working towards next year investment, and something major and something extremely, extremely bigger is coming up that we're excited about. Yes, so I mean, we're working on it already. So yes, investment is coming. We're excited about what is happening. The funding is coming. We can see the revenue that are coming in. We can see the impacts, at the bottom of the pyramid, especially with the women that we work with. But just even recently in Algeria, because there was intra-Africa trade fair that happened in Algeria last month, bringing I think about 132 countries were there. It was supposed to be for just intra-African countries. We were able to exhibit through the end. We were sponsored. More Organics was sponsored by UNDP, and while we were there, we were able to pitch. I kind of pitched for the cosmetics industry, and positioning the shea value chain as a major revenue stream for Africa, especially looking at what our government, the presidency policy last month that banned the exportation of shea nuts. And if it will interest you to know that shea butter, for instance, grows in about 21 African countries, that means that there is high potential in it. So right now we are championing more organics and some other brands across Africa are championing a Pan-African share line across the 21 African countries. So I mean, it's exciting to see what is also going to happen on that front, and in that line. So to show that it's not it just did not happen. It is basically based on believing in what we have in our hands that it can thrive and it can grow, and improving our processes along the line. We've gone to school to study more about production, formulation. I tell people that every year I have two investments that I do. There is the business of the craft and there is the business of the business. Because I mean, you can know the craft and not know the business side of the business. So we do that too every year so that we are ahead of the game. We are able to learn well and we are able to also position the business for impact and also growth.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Thanks a lot for sharing that. That's very helpful. Thank you. Thank you. Now that takes me to my next question, right? And when you were sharing earlier, you mentioned that your husband started picking interest in the business much much more than before when you were out of town for a couple of months, right? And he had to help you pick up checks and all of that. And the question I want to ask is around how did you sustain customer service, production, everything in your absence, right? Because I know a lot of small businesses kind of struggle. And I'm not saying your business is small, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying that at the infancy, when you're not yet as big as you are today, how did you manage? What kind of structure did you have in place that helps you to be able to stay away for that long, and was able to help you just get things going? So, did you get the question?
Yes, I did. So one of the things that we um, started doing quite early is to look at data to make informed decisions. So the idea is how many people did we supply last month? What's the projected supply that we might have this month? If what are we going to do differently? What parts of the year are we? Is there going to be an influx? Is there supposed to be a Black Friday? Is there supposed to be, all of those things? We put it into consideration, and I think this is also credited to the knowledge, the business schools that I went to in understanding these dynamics, the knowledge of the business side. So we're able to look at all the factors that can improve, you know, our revenue. So those were the things that were put in place in 2017. And of course, at that time, I had two staff members. So even though I was not around, production would always go through. We had a good relationship with our suppliers from the very beginning. So we are just like we are just a call away to tell them at that time our raw materials has finished, just supply us. But most importantly, we also batch produce. So it's not when people order for something that, imagine if it's when people order for Indomie or order for any of this or for any of these fizzle drinks that they produce. And one of the other things I also have is I have a good network of people, good network of people that I maximize their relationship. I have a good network of community that are also ready to see me thrive. Like I mentioned, my church is a very good place where I have that community. I also have a very good community of friends. At that time, one of my friends was working with, I think, Unilever.
Mm,
At that time, so there was a time she sat with me and she said, I want to know if this business is really making profits. Let us do a cost
financials.
analysis. So we did like a cost analysis. We know how much we were making. We know how
Mm,
much. So we looked at the container. What should we create? We looked at our SOP. We
mm.
developed an SOP. SOP is standard of operation. So we understand all of those things to a reasonable extent. So it helped us to plan, even while I was not away. And then there wasn't really a lot of things that I was doing in 2017. It was basically just maybe like a shea butter, a whipped shea butter. It wasn't as detailed and as more demanding as it is now, as more technical as it is now. Then it was just the basic ones, but we're able to scale it and then, we're able to, grow it from there. And recently, right now, we have like a format for our gross margin conversation to know cost per case. We're able to understand how these big businesses, they don't, it's not as if big businesses, they have seven heads. It's basically thinking through processes. And I think that is what a lot of small businesses or growing businesses or thriving businesses or micro businesses should do. Because at the end of the day, they also want to be able to step out of the business and still see it thrive. You don't want a situation where you are an employer in your business. I don't have the exact word to say it. Like if
Mm.
you're not there, the business is going to
Business
die.
will not run.
It
Mm,
won't run. Right now I'm here
mm,
right now and then some messages are popping in. I'm saying that okay, some money is entering, some people are making orders, and it just
I
feels
like
good, you know,
I
as
like
an
the
entrepreneur.
feel of money entering.
Sometimes you're tired and then a lot comes inside and your the tiredness is off, you're gingered. So I mean, that is it. So that was what we basically did. We weren't doing anything complex at that time. And even now that we are doing things that are complex, we have an SOP. You can't enter into the production room without knowing what you want to produce, understanding the batch size of what you want to produce, ensuring that all the raw materials that you want to produce is on ground. You don't have if you don't have all those basic things, then you shouldn't, enter into the production room. So those ones are supposed to be done outside of the production room. Then you have everything written out clearly so that by the time you enter and you're weighing it, it's just, a quick breeze in the park.
Mm, mm. Thanks a lot for sharing that. Thanks a lot for sharing that. Now, I have two questions for you, ma'am. Right. And one is just like a little piggyback on these conversations around production and standard. And I know that regulation or navigating the regulatory environment can be quite a challenge for people, especially within the Nigerian space, right? And so I don't know if you have any word of advice for young people who are new entrepreneurs who are going into production of, maybe could be food, could be skincare product, and they have to, because this needs to be kind of approved by the regulatory agencies before they can go to market, right? What advice would you have for them?
Okay, I would have my advice in two forms. First, regulatory body is very important, especially when you want to scale. Um, However, before you go to the regulatory body, you also want to be sure that you understand the products that are moving well. So one of the mistakes that I did, and I say it, is that I by the time I saw the money, I had the grants, and I knew that I needed NAVDAC. I had seen some products that I know my products that were going well. And I also have a feeling that this product, okay, let me just get the NAVDAC, is going to go well as well. The mistake I did was thinking that product was going to go well. Now, for the one that was going well, NAVDAC is a fantastic. For the one that did not go well that I registered, now I've gone back to NAVDAC that I want to change is it possible to change the product? Change the product. So one of the things I was told was because of the form of the product. So if it was the same form, it's easier for you to change the formulation. But if the product was like a solid and now you or a paste, now you want to change to a solid, it becomes a little bit hard because of the form of the product, the velocity and all of those things. So in hindsight, one of the things I'm going to advise anybody that wants to go into regulatory, but especially when it comes to government regulations like NAFDAC, understand the products that is moving well. There is no problem starting with one product to register or two products to register. You don't have to register all four or all five or all six. Understand the ones that are moving well, register them, but still know that keep an eye on the other products that you have or the other items that you have so that you can now, if you feel that they are doing well, you can put them on shelves, then you can go back to NAFDAC. But if not, change it or look for the one that is really, 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 really doing well so that you are not stuck like I am stuck right now. But regulatory body is extremely important. We believe so much in having your books complete. Like I said the other time, we have our audited accounts, we have our business properly registered. Um, we do our yearly filing and all of those things, returns. So it's extremely important because even when opportunity comes, it is only the person that seems like they know what they are doing that really have access to all of these opportunities like grants, and all of these opportunities. So you want to ensure that your books are good. You want to ensure that your regulatory bodies are okay. Your certifications are okay. We also have FDA, as an organization. One of the things that because we supply to the US market, we are also registered in the US. Morganics is registered there. So one of the things we also did was to get the regulatory body of that country so that, we can easily um sell in that community. And lastly, just last week, we had an ISO. ISO is another European certification. We had the gap analysis inspection like 2 weeks ago, and we are also looking forward to get that certification so that we can also export properly through the right channels, through direct export to UK and Europe as a whole. So regulatory body is extremely important, especially when it comes to cosmetics and food, and everybody that wants to take themselves serious. I mean, you can start small. I always tell people that it doesn't matter where you're starting, start from small, but have it in the pipeline. If it is 2 years down the line, 5 years down the line, you're able to understand the dynamics of your business, you're able to understand what people really want, so that those are the things that you are registering, and those are the things that you're putting. It's almost like you're putting your best foot forward to increase your revenue.
Hey, thanks a lot for taking the time to watch the podcast. We are super thankful for you taking that time and investing the time to learn. We hope that you find the story inspiring, and beyond that, that you've been able to articulate one or two things that you want to do differently in your own entrepreneurial journey. May I encourage you to please like, subscribe, comment, and please share the word within your own circle of influence, especially within those that you think are on the same entrepreneurial journey with you. May I also encourage you to please, beyond subscribing to our YouTube channel, follow us on our other social media platforms. That means a lot to us, and we can see that that helps us to track that we're making some progress and so making some impact. Thanks a lot once again for taking the time to watch, and to see you on the next episode.